Welcome to Moon Harbor Heroes. Today's issue is Faces, issue 18. Let's Burt about that. On the cover, we see Burt standing center stage in a lab coat. All around him are strange and colorful lab equipment and chemicals. In the foreground, we can see several TV cameras. Carl stands in the shot, grinning wide and waving. Brian nervously stares into the audience. We turn the page and our story begins. This panel opens in a fairly small, cramped room with several a threadbare sofa and a couple threadbare chairs, which Brian and Carl are sitting on. There's a tray out that looks to be suspiciously old, meat and cheese tray, and the door pops open, and someone sticks their head in. Probably a very pimply late teenager who's working at the station as an intern pops his head and goes, Bert's going to be starting a show in 5 minutes. If you want to come out when you're ready. And then closes the door behind him.
I think Carl will get up, and in the back of the room is this old camera, but it's clearly a museum piece that hasn't been used in 50 years. He sticks his face in front of the camera and goes, "Hey Carl, look, we're on TV." I think Carl is wearing a tie.
I love that.
And also he's holding an Erlenmeyer beaker, which says Monarch Power on it, but it's crossed out, and with Sharpie is written below is World's Greatest Bird.
Yay! That's great. And unless there's anything else we want in the green room, I think our next panel is on the stage. So our next panel, there's Burt standing out on a stage, and it's like a very small production stage. There is, once again, another threadbare couch, a small desk, and a just what looks like a dining room table chair sitting behind it. It's not even a nice easy chair, office chair. Carl, do you have any ideas how Burt dresses for this, or do you want me to roll with it?
You can roll with it.
Burt comes out, and I think he is in nice dress pants and a tweed jacket, and then over top of that, a lab coat.
It definitely has elbow patches.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the audience for this, as we pan out, there's a small seating area for a live audience, and it's actually oddly full. There's at least 50 people in here when there's probably only seats for about 70. Burt's theme music plays, and he smiles out at the crowd, and he's like, "It's been a while. I've been in the hospital, but we're back, and we're ready to Burt about that." And today, I have a couple special guests, my son and his friend. I think on that, you've been given the cues for this. The two of you walk out, one of you pushing a rolling tray or a rolling table with a large white sheet draped over top of whatever's on it. As you reach out to the center of the stage, everyone claps a little bit. Carl, I feel like you're probably overtaken with everything going on. I'm not sure if you'd notice this. Brian, you would probably notice. The clapping is really, really rhythmic, and it kind of is a bit off-putting for a moment.
Oh boy.
What is Carl doing with the crowd clapping?
When the crowd starts clapping, Carl starts hitting an offbeat in between their claps, and the discerning listeners can pick out that the rhythm that he's clapping is the rhythm from the song that we played on stage.
Ooh, nice. The applause dies down, and Burt looks out at the crowd and then looks back at you all and says, "We have an exciting experiment tonight. Carl, would you do the honors to remove the sheet?"
Carl takes on this pose like the actresses that do reveals on game shows, like a really feminine way to wave at the cloth and then wave from the other side, and then he removes the cloth.
As you pull back, underneath it is revealed a massive paper mache volcano. Burt walks over to the table, and he pulls out from a shelf underneath behind it 2 large vials. One of them contains a white powdery substance, and the other a clear liquid. And at that moment, Brian, the beeping of your detector starts going off.
Uh-oh.
Burt is talking away about complex chemical reactions as he is doing a lot of flourishes with these 2 big old beakers of chemicals behind the volcano. And looking out into the crowd, you see about half the crowd just stand up all at exactly the same time. And they all close their eyes. And when they open their eyes, it's just a LED style, like glowing red.
And I assume Burt keeps on talking.
Absolutely. I think at that point, he pours the white powder into the volcano. Have you guys noticed this? It's up to you. The eyes.
Yeah. What is Carl doing right now?
Carl has no clue. He's completely enraptured by the volcano.
Okay, I am going to shove Carl very hard and point at the audience.
What?
This is not what an audience is supposed to look like, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm kind of freaked out too, because I think they should be wearing ties. It's TV.
Okay, I am going to assess the situation.
Assess away. We get like you peering off the stage, and it's kind of hard to see with the spotlights, but we definitely see like these shadowy figures or these shadowy people with the glowing eyes starting to make their way to the aisle.
5! Yay, potential!
I think you just convinced yourself that they are a regular audience.
As you're peering forward, Burt pours in the other chemical, and there is a just blinding flash of light that draws your attention. You bend back and stare at this volcano, and it starts spewing forth real lava.
That's not the modification I made.
And then we hear like the last bit of Bert's little monologue, and he goes, and with this chemical reaction, it powers the reality gateway, and we can draw magma directly from the heart of a volcano in another reality. And at that point, you are grabbed from behind by like 4 pairs of these pedestrians' arms, and they start squeezing you. And as you look down, like you see that their hands shift into that molten metal of a very familiar person.
Oh. All right, I am trying to escape.
I think we should enter battle against a dangerous foe here. Before we
Yes.
further.
That sounds wise.
Cool. So who is the leader currently?
I think for once I am.
I think Brian is.
Cool. Does the leader have influence over every teammate?
Yep.
Brian, what is your purpose in this fight?
My purpose is to... So right now, I'm pretty sure it's my shame. My purpose is to avoid more casualties from it. So I probably want to protect Burt from this thing. He's the only human that I know who's here.
And Carl?
Well, I was about to say that my purpose is entirely to protect Burt, and I was expecting that to be different from Brian, so that's really cool.
That's fortunate.
Yeah. Does any team member mistrust the leader of the team?
I don't. I know I'm lots of team members, but they all don't.
I could never trust myself after creating this thing.
But do you trust Carl?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll give it to you. And I'm going to say you're probably ill-prepared or off balance. Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Cool. We're at 3 team. And okay, so to reframe, Brian has just been grabbed as by like 4 sets of hands, and all 4 sets morph into that metal as they grab you. And Carl is still on stage. Burt is still oblivious. Where do we want to start this action? Actually, let's start it off with Carl.
I'm going to assess the situation.
Sure.
That's a 1. That's a 1.
Okay.
I think with a roll that low for assess the situation and the way the situation's been going before that, I don't think Carl realizes it's not a TV show.
You know what? I'm okay with that. If Carl just like stands back because he thinks this is all part of the plan.
I mean, with a roll that low and with the way the narrative was going, I think I have to. Sorry, Brian.
Cool. And we cut to Brian having been dragged about halfway up the aisle and standing, like we get the shot from your perspective, like on the ground, and standing in a circle above you are like 8 of these things. Your detector's going crazy at this point. None of them look like Dijkstra, but they all have bits of that liquid metal to them. And one of them opens up its mouth and a small speaker pops out. And we hear Dijkstra's voice coming out of this speaker saying, "Hello, creator. Do you like my new toys?"
They seem a lot safer than your last ones. So far, thumbs up.
What do you do?
So, am I able to wrestle free? Because I think I've got pretty limited motion right now, unless I could kick something like if I got something on my foot, maybe that I can deploy.
They aren't currently holding you down. They're just standing in a circle around you. So you
Oh,
can do a lot of things here.
okay. I am going to talk to it. I'm going to say, why are you here?
All of the eyes turn to look at the volcano, and we get that panel where it's still continuing to spew lava, and Burt is standing behind it, excitedly. Like we get like a bit that's just him just speaking a full panel of equations in a speech bubble, and it cuts back to all the robots looking back down at you. Your friends have useful technology.
By the way, I think with the distress that this is causing Brian right now, Carl just picked up through their Hive link that something's really, really wrong.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, I didn't take a condition yet. I am taking guilty. Or no, actually, I'm taking hopeless.
That works.
I am going to try to run in between some of the audience members and get outside of the group of audience.
Cool. Are you
so that they're all on one side of me?
Are you trying to get closer to the stage or closer to the like exit of the?
I don't want to draw them towards. Well, their goal is the volcano, so I guess I should go towards the volcano to stop them.
Awesome. Are you just scrambling through?
I am going to pull out a new gadget for this. I've got a pogo robot leg that I'm just going to quickly wrap over my foot and just single use, boing, sends me over the crowd.
Awesome. Is that an unleash when you use your gadgets?
Yes.
So that is a 6. Do we want to spin team? So I think we get like Brian pogoing up, and then one of the robots reaching out to grab your leg, just to give Carl a bit of a, this is what's going on, so you can figure out how to help.
I'm going to spend a team to push him up to 7, and I'm going to do it by startling the robots. I think there's suddenly a gigantic blue face that appears behind the robots, and there's this really deep, angry voice that goes, "I wouldn't hurt my friends if I was you." And that startles them enough to let go of, to miss grabbing.
Excellent, yeah.
Brian.
That pushes it to a 7. So Brian, do you want to take a condition, or I'll tell you how it's unstable or temporary?
Does unstable or temporary even make sense for something like this?
I have something for it.
Okay, tell away.
Cool. It lets go, or like its hand goes limp at the last second, not grabbing Brian's leg. Brian bounces, lands behind Carl, and all of the eyes fix on Carl. And the one with the little speaker, we hear it just say, "Oh, you have a fragment of its power. I'll be taking that." And they start rushing towards Carl. Carl, what do you do?
The giant face just starts grinning, and suddenly there's these red lines that shoot out from the eyes, and there's these like tiger stripes that go across the face, and the whole face lights on fire. And I'm going to roll to charge my burn.
Excellent.
It's a 5, which means I get 2 burn, and I have to mark 3 conditions.
Ouch.
I'm going to mark insecure, angry, and damaged, which is an extra condition that I have. Okay, so I have 4 out of 6 conditions marked. This will be fun.
At seeing this like welling of power in you, all of the robots stop for just a half step and then continue rushing forward. But there is just a moment of hesitation. What do you do?
I'm going to reality storm the fuck out of them.
Awesome. What's it look like?
Okay, so I think the mouth of the face opens and just a giant wave of fire shoots out directly at the robots. But it's very pinpoint focused, because I assume that the audience is still sort of scrambling away. So I don't want to...
Behind the robots, you can see there's probably about 4 real people, and they are scrambling towards the doors.
Yeah, so I'm going to use both of my burns to make sure that I don't hurt Burt or the 4 audience members. I love that it's just 4.
Burt was so excited. It's the biggest crowd he's ever had. Go ahead and roll your reality storm.
I assume that this counts as being a terrifying fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means I get to pick an extra option, which makes it 2 options, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to resist or avoid their blows because I am vulnerable to taking blows right now. I'm going to try to use the fire to sever their connection to the to Dijkstra.
I will let you do that if you're okay with it being very temporary. It'll give you a minute of reprieve at most.
Yeah, that's what I figured, or the story wouldn't go on, but
Cool.
I just want that temporary effect of them not being connected to Dijkstra.
I just wanted to make sure you were still okay with that. Give you a chance to re-choose if you wanted.
Yeah, no, let's go with that because it sounds fun.
Cool. So we get this blast of the fire energy, and we get like a nice long panel that shows the whole room, like you on the far left, and just the fire flying down the corridor. I think it sparks off into different columns, hitting every robot in the room. And I think there's a couple points at which it curves around humans who are running. And then our next panel, half of the robots are just melted husks at this point, and the others are standing stock still, charred and smoking a bit, and their like eye lights are blinking rapidly. And there's kind of an eerie stillness, and Burt kind of clicks to at this point, looks out across the room and goes, "Wait, what's going on?"
It's bad guys, Dad. Just go hide.
"Oh, okay. Be safe. You're amazing." And he runs. Carl, if you want, you can spend a team to make that "you're amazing" from Burt be him comforting or supporting you at a 7 to 9.
I'm going to do that.
Cool. So you can mark potential clear condition or shift labels. And while you're doing that, I think we cut over to Brian looking out across this scene. You see the lights on the eyes blinking more and more slowly. Basically, you can tell that they're going to steady out soon.
It looks like you forgot your one weakness, Brian says, pointing at the volcano. There's no way you could get through this lava.
Looking down at the volcano, you can see on the other side of the table, the side Burt was standing at, a control that you realize will increase the intensity of the lava coming out. What are you doing?
I'm going to do that. But also, I was trying to trigger a move.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
When you point out the obvious flaw in a known foe's plan, roll plus savior. On a hit, you're right, and another teammate can take advantage. On a miss, you've played into your enemy's hands. Watch the trap spring.
Cool. Go ahead and roll it.
That's a 4.
All right. At that, the eyes on the one with the speaker sticking out of its mouth steady out. The others still have not yet. And it steps forward and says, "I assume you're referring to my low tolerance for heat. That's been fixed in these models." And he puts the robot's arms up. The hands kind of snap back on a hinge, and he starts shooting out 2 giant gouts of flames. I think it would be at Carl, because I think Carl's in the way of Brian. Carl, what do you do?
Is if I get out of the way, does the fire hit Brian?
Yeah, it'll hit Brian.
Yeah,
I think it was originally aimed for Brian. You're just in the way.
Yeah. I'm going to try to pull me and Brian out of the way.
Cool. What's that look like?
I think at this point the giant face turns into the more golem-like shape that we're used to by now that Carl has, and it grabs Brian and just jumps 10 feet away.
Okay, awesome. Go ahead and roll to defend.
12. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we get you and Brian cleanly out of the way, and the gust of flame flies past. And our next panel is the other robots behind the lead one snapping on. As I said, there's about half of those left.
Can I clear a condition too? Because it was.
Sorry, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can add a team to pool, take influence over something you protect, or clear a condition.
I'm going to clear a condition.
Cool. Good call. And the lead speaker bot steps forward and we hear just a hideous cackle. And he turns towards the two of you and goes, "Oh, creator, how about this? I'll give you one last chance. Step aside, get out of this, leave me alone, and I'll leave you and your friends alone. You don't belong in this fight." Brian, what do you do? He is bearing these guns down towards the two of you again.
Brian is going to leave.
Oh, damn. I didn't see that coming.
You see Brian, you see his face. He is sweating profusely. It's just a close-up of his face. And then there's a panel. He's closed his eyes. And the next panel, he's turned around and opens his mouth. And you see a speech bubble that just has a little squiggle in it, as if he's starting to say something, but he can't come out. And then he opens his eyes and walks away.
Oof. The speaker bot turns to look at Carl and then says, "Are you going to stand in my way? I'm just going to take the device and then I'll leave."
Which device is he gonna take? Is it the volcano or something?
Yeah, the stuff hooked to the volcano.
Okay, so Carl looks at the robot and goes, "I told you that you wouldn't touch my friends, and that includes their stuff. You don't touch Burt's stuff."
It starts to walk towards the stage and then says, "If you try and stop me, I will destroy you." What do you do?
I'ma charge my burn.
Roll it.
That's an 8. Let me check what that does. Okay, I mark a condition and I get 3 burn. Sweet. I'm going to take insecure again. So I think at this point you see Carl get his red tiger stripes back.
And we have the lead, the speaker bot, walking up onto the stage. I think at this point it's right next to the volcano table. And all the other bots have come online and are just standing stock still where they were, spread through the seats. What does Carl do as the speaker bot reaches into the machine?
So my shielding ability says you call up a fast protective field to stop a danger, spend 1 burn to defend someone else from an immediate threat. But then
you can use that on
yeah, because defend someone says someone or something. So okay, so readers from the blockade event will recognize that the shield looks really similar to the one that Carl used back then to protect the people when the ship was crashing. And it's just a faint see-through blue shield that suddenly pops up in between the robot and the volcano. I think it will take off like a finger or something on the panel. Like the hand is reaching to grab the volcano, and then suddenly just a shield goes up and severs a finger. You see a little
I like
spark.
that a lot.
So rolling to defend someone then, I guess. So
Yep.
+3, and do I need minuses? Yeah, I have -2, so just +1 then. A 6. I'm going to.
Cool.
We have
So-
one team left, right?
Yes.
I'm going to spend that team selfishly to push myself up to a 7. I forget how.
Cool. What are you doing that is disparaging or putting like focus on someone else? How are you making this? How are you doing this selfishly?
Well, Brian is trying to leave, and just trying to give away the thing, and I'm going straight against him, and
That's fair.
he's probably giving me a look of like, don't do this, and and that's when I shoot up the shield and make it very clear that I'm going to defy Brian's wishes.
Awesome. Okay, so on a 7 to 9, it costs you. You can either expose yourself to danger or escalate the situation. I actually think either way is going to be the same thing here.
Yeah, just go ahead then.
Cool. And do you want to add a team to the pool or clear a condition? I don't think you can take influence over anyone here.
Let's say I'm going to clear another condition, I think. I'm going to clear insecure again.
So yeah, we get the panels of the speaker bot's fingers getting cut off with this shield. And then it turns, looks at you, and its eyes just start glowing this blazing red. And we get a overhead shot of all of the robots, and then all their heads snap towards Carl at the same moment.
I think Carl is in the front of the panel, defiantly standing in the way of the robots.
There is just one more panel I wanted. As Brian's walking away, he's crying.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets and TP Huth, and edited by Anthony Sheets. Anthony can be found on Twitter at Icy New Year, or at icynewyear.com. T is the host of Incubator on Air, a new play podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play. She can be found at T Huth Playwright on Twitter, or TPHuth94 on Instagram. Faces is GM by me, Anthony Sheets. Asimov is played by EXPHP. You probably won't find him at itsexphp on Twitter, but it's worth a try. Carl is played by Simon Meskins. You can find him on Twitter as Jill Bareka. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Black Vortex by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on iTunes and tell a friend. Word of mouth and 5-star reviews are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out on patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus episodes each month. And thanks for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.